and welcome to the Telit Cinterion webinar, Activating eSIMs for Global IoT Connectivity. I'm Amanda Flank, the head of global events here at Telit, and I will be moderating today's event. Now let's quickly get to know our speaker. To explain our topic today, I'm pleased to be joined by Chensi Wang, our field application engineer at Telit Cinterion. Now, just before I hand it over to Chensi to start our presentation, I have just a few quick reminders. I would like to remind our audience that we've got time to answer some questions at the end of our presentation. You can simply submit a question by posting in the questions box located near the bottom of your screen. Also, please be sure to check out the resources section for some additional information. There you can find a copy of today's slides and some other resources. And finally, we will send out this replay link to all attendees at the conclusion of the webinar. And with that, Chensi, I will hand it over to you to start our presentation.
Right, thanks, Amanda. Thanks for the introduction on this. And thanks everyone for joining this session. Today we are going to talk about the eSIM solution a little bit. So I would like to start with a question. So what is eSIM? Right? I think we all heard the terms a lot, but what it is about. So when we talk about the eSIM, most of the time, let's say we are referring to the technology actually that is eUICC. It's a way of getting multiple simple files from different network operators into the same, let's say, physical SIM card. So no matter what kind of form factor the SIM card is, it can be, let's say, traditional plug-in SIM, like 2FF, 3FF, or maybe also known as micro SIM or nano SIM. Or it even can be the soluble form factor, like the MFF2. And just one step further, it could be the future form factor, which can be integrated with let's say the baseband chip, so-called eSIM, or we say it's eUICC. So what matters here actually is the standard, which is defined by the GSMA, and that will be followed by all different parties, right, including the mobile network operators. And consider the nature of the IoT devices. Most of the time, those SIM provisioning need to be done remotely. So please bear with me on the other term, like remote SIM provisioning. Generally, it's associated with the eUICC technologies and all the platform or services behind it. So to speak, a lot of people would say, okay, I see you are referring to M2M eSIM when we talk about the IoT industry. So anyway, we are going to cover those differences among different standards. Okay, first, let me show you these two different approaches, which has been already existing in the market for a while. So on the left side, you can see that is follow the GSMA standard SGP.02. It's also called M2M or fleet approach. And then on the right side, you can see that is the SGP.22. That is so-called consumer approach or the device approach. So it's good to know the differences between those two and then understand which one maybe it's ideal for your deployment, for your device deployment in the field. Okay, so on the let's jump back to the SGP.02, the M2M approach. So you can see there are different elements, right? For sure, you need the eUICC, the eSIM, and then you need all the operator prepare all different servers behind it, and then you can see on the left side some key elements which is related to the SM system initiate. So the SMS that is needed, all right, and then the cellular bootstrap profile is also needed for the initial connectivity, so it can get on the network and then download the profile. But overall, this one, the M2M approach, is a push model. So basically, you can manage all the SIM profiles from your backend server, right? That is the M2M approach. So on the right side, you can see the consumer approach. So basically, the end user who has the control over when or how you would like to grab the profiles from the mobile operator network servers. That is would be the SMDP plus. All right. So we are going to jump into a little bit details later. But here you need to understand, okay, the consumer approach that is controlled over by the customer, the end users. And you don't really need SMS to be supported in order to get it work, okay? And those two are the existing approaches, which already, just like that, is in the field for a while. And there is another one, which is expected to be ready this year, and that is the SGP.32. And this one is so-called IoT approach. But although it's called IoT approach, it's not a brand new one. So basically, that would be leveraging the existing standard from SGP.22. So that by saying that, the SMDP plus server will be included in this new approach. But what you can benefit from this new one, it's designed to be battery optimized. So for those IoT devices with the battery powered, you will definitely go with this new approach. But just like that, this new approach standard is not ready yet, so still under cooking. Right, so that's why today we are going to focus on the previous two standards. So let's look at into a little bit detail on the SGP.02, the M approach first. So on the right side, you can see the device, right? And then with the eUICC inside this device, so that is the eSIM. And it is connected to the SMSR, that is the subscription manager secure routing. So the SMSR is the one to push the profile to the device, which means whoever controls the SMSR is the one who really have all the power to decide when or how the SIM profile should be pushed over. So that means you need to put some investment in order to get independent from the operator or from some other service provider, right? And the other challenge is you can see each of the SMDP need to be connected to the SMSR through the interface ES3. So whenever you would like to build a new relationship with your MNO partner, you need to establish this ES3 connection in order to onboard their SIM profile and then to use their network. So that is always the challenge. So you need to have different agreements between different parties. And then at the very beginning, just like that, you need to have the initial connectivity that is so-called bootstrap connectivity from day one, which allows you to connect to the network and then receive the SMS, which will trigger the SIM provisioning later on. But yeah, there are a lot of disadvantages, I would say, but you can see you have the whole capability to control when you would like to push over a new SIM profile. Okay, so that is the M2M model at the SGP.02. Now we are going to talk about a little bit about the consumer model. So this is another GSMA standard SGP.22. So you can see you can just forget about all different servers needed in the SGP.02, right? In the M2M model. So you can see the consumer model eSIM is quite straightforward. So the device connects directly to the SMDP Plus server. And it works on most of the recent cell phones. So I believe most of you are quite familiar with that one. So I will take this mobile cell phone example for you to understand again on this consumer model eSIM. So basically, at the very first step, either you visit mobile network operators offline shop, or you go to the portal and then purchase the your subscription. But instead of getting a physical SIM, we will get a voucher, right? And then with the voucher released to you, the MNO on the second step, they will actually book a subscription on their back end, that is the SMDP Plus server, and then prepare the SIM profile for you. And once you get it, you can use your device camera, and for sure you need to get on the network first. Usually you use the Wi-Fi, and then you scan this voucher, the QR code, and then it will communicate, the device will communicate with the SMDP Plus server on the back end. And you can see some requests will be sent over to the server, and then later on you can grab or download the SIM profile, and then use this new SIM, let's say the new SIM card for your later connection. So that is the consumer model eSIM. So what's behind it, right? So we talk about some easy things, but it seems like there should be something happened on behind, underneath the surface. So you can see this is the architecture of the consumer model eSIM, the SGP.22. So it simplified the process which we just discussed in the M2M model, right? So there are a few things you need to pay attention to. So there are actually software pieces running inside the device. That is so-called LPA, the local profile assistant. So this LPA is a key element in order to talk to the SMDP Plus server, and then also kind of be the agent to prepare everything and then get it inside the eSIM. So LPA is a key element here needed for the device. And the other thing is you also need to have the initial connectivity by saying that it's Wi-Fi on the cell phone. But for the IoT devices, it could be something else. Let's say for some of the wearable devices, like smartwatch, smartphone, the smart tablet, you can use also the Bluetooth and the others, as long as you have the internet connection. So you can think about all the good sides of this solution. But the bad thing for the IoT space is you don't really want to touch each of your devices which you deploy in the field, right? So there is no remote management in terms of using the consumer model for the IoT space. All right, then I believe we understand the technologies behind the eSIM. So why do we bring up this webinar and also this connectivity activation from Centurion IoT Suite. So you know, we have been deeply engaged with our customers in this industry, and we heard a lot about the complaints on different scenarios, like okay, you need to manage different skills in order to deploy globally. Right? Like in the US, you might have one skill, and then outside of the US, you might have some other skills. So definitely that increase um, the the production and also the logistic cost. And then the other thing is when you try to deploy the devices in the field, and usually the technician, they need to bring up the device. Maybe they also bring different SIM cards and then insert one and then power the device on, wait a bit, and then determine if the signal strength is good enough or not. Then they will need to switch over to some other SIM card and then try again. Like that. That is quite time consuming, right? And the other thing is how can you ensure your business continuity, right? A lot of times you suddenly you face the issue that somehow the connection is lost, and there's no way you can really do to rescue your device and then get it back online. So uh, the network somehow it's not reliable as you expect. And the other thing, the last one is the long-term insurance. So we all know the story happened in the past few years. Like, okay, the 3G network need to be sunset, and then also the 2G network need to be sunset. And how can you deal with all those devices already deployed in the field, right? So in order to tackle all those different issues in the field, we come up with this solution. So Centurion IoT Suite, and inside this IoT Suite, actually we deploy different functions. So it's also one of the device management platform, and then also we tackle the security issues you might have, and then also the connectivity activation just mentioned. And this is definitely simplify the whole development process. So you don't really need to, let's say, change any code on the device side, because we have already done our due diligence and developed everything inside of our cellular module. And we have been working with our customer, and we know a lot of customers, they care about the power consumption for the IoT devices. So basically we use the most recent protocol, the Lightweight M2M protocol, to build all the clients inside the module. And again, our platform is cloud-based, so we deploy this on the cloud, and it's network agnostic, so it can work on different networks, like from 2G, 3G to LTE, Cat-M, narrowband, and then also the 5G. So all the networks works with our platform. And just like that, different functions have already been built on this platform. And we do have the portal, the web portal, so you can log in and then use most of the functions. And if you have your own device manager platform, you can just integrate the RESTful APIs into your platform, and you don't need to log in the web portal anymore. And keep in mind that we don't really touch your application data. So all the application data, which is talked to your backend, never gone through our platform. Okay, so we are going to focusing on the connectivity activation, right? Because that is what we are here today. So basically, there are different scenarios, right? When you deploy the device, you would like to do the SIM provisioning, maybe at the factory, maybe at the installation site, or along the device lifecycle. You might need to switch over to some other networks. So that is what we offered on this platform. So definitely the basic one, the remote connectivity provisioning. So just like that, just works with just like the cell phones, right? At the very beginning, as an end user, you purchase the subscriptions from the operator, mobile network operator, but instead of getting the SIM card, you get a bunch of the activation code, and then you loaded that into this Centurion IoT Suite portal, and after that, you can either trigger the provisioning at the factory or the on-site, or later on any point of the device lifetime. And we also offer some other functions, which we call the smart connectivity provisioning. So basically, the cellular module will do a network scanning on site, so you can see which network has the best, let's say, the signal strength in the field, and then you can decide based on the signal strength, and then switch over to the right network. And also we bring up this fallback connectivity. So in case you lost your connection, so you can fall back to the Telit Bootstrap profile. So use this connectivity and then grab a new subscription and get back online. So here is a high-level view. So you can see all the different subscriptions on this platform, and you can see different status. So like the ICC ID, which is associated with which MEI, so that it's which device, and what's the status of that device or that subscription, right? So all this could be managed on the platform. So we have been discussed about the different approach from the GSMA and then also our Telit Cinterion IoT Suite platform. Here is, I mean, there is no magic behind it, right? So we build this platform based on the S3P.22, which is the consumer model eSIM solution. But we also tackle a few things, so you can do the remote SIM provisioning without touching the device. And here is how we make it happen. So just like that, we have already done our due diligence, building the agent inside the module. And that is the LPA, and then also another one, IoT Suite agent. With those agents running inside our cellular module, you can benefit from the other Bootstrap profile also built within our eSIM. And then you can get on the network, grab the profile you needed, and then download the profile into the IoT devices without touching the device. And after that, you can do all your data connection as needed. So this is the whole architecture behind our solution. So later on, I'm going to walk you through each step of this solution, so you know all the details about it. So again, we are on this structure. So just like the cell phone users, first you still need to purchase your subscription. So I believe you all have your mobile network partner. So you purchase all those activation codes and then use the web portal or the RESTful API, loaded all those subscriptions into our platform. And definitely this is hosted on the cloud, so we will protect all the data on that. And then on the device side, just like that, we have already built all the agents needed inside the cellular module. So you don't really need to change your code in order to get it work, but you just need to send a few AD commands to turn on this agent and then to trigger the connection to the Telit Cinterion IoT Suite platform, and then grab the activation code, which has the address of the SMDP plus server from your mobile network operator partner. So when you purchase all those activation codes, the data, the SIM profile data will also be prepared on the MNO SMDP plus server. So you can see later on you can grab that through the GSMA standard interface ES9 plus, and it's encrypted for sure. That is secured by the standard, right? So again, here is one step-by-step guide here. So just like I said at the very beginning, you purchase those activation codes from your MNO partner, and they will share to you all those codes, and then you use the web portal, loaded those profiles into the Centurion IoT Suite platform, and then also meanwhile the MNO will get those SIM profiles ready on their SMDP plus server. So the next step on your side is you turn on the device and get everything ready on the device side, and you manage all those activation codes on the platform. And just one thing to mention here, we also support the ICC-ID code, which is not the activation code. So the ICC-ID could also be loaded into our platform, and we will decode that to talk to the operator server through another interface, ES2 plus. But that is still optional on the whole solution. So basically, we retrieve back all the activation code with those ICC-IDs. Again, that is optional. So some of the mobile network operator they support that. Some of them they support the activation code directly. Okay, then just explained before, based on the rules, you can create it on our IoT Suite platform. You can determine which one to go with which device in the field, and then it will grab the right rules and then get the right activation code back to the IoT device. So again, your host processor doesn't really need to change any of the source code, but just to send a few AT commands over to the cellular module. And then with the bootstrap profile mentioned before, you get on the network, and then you can talk to the MNO backend SMTP plus server, and all the SIM profiles are ready for you to grab. So with all the information needed, which already passed through from the IoT Suite platform to the device, and then now you are ready to grab the profile and then get it work. So the LPA will the LPA agent, the local profile assistant, will allow you to enable one profile or disable one profile in the eSIM inside the SIM card. So that is how you can manage different SIM profiles without touching the device. All right, that's all from my side. So whenever you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And now I would like to hand over back to Amanda.
Yep, perfect. Thank you so much, Chensi. Before we get to the questions, audience, I am going to drop a poll on your screen here. If you have any questions or you'd like to have one of our experts contact you directly, please just respond here on the poll and we'll be sure to have someone reach out. We do have time for a few questions and there's still time to ask a question, so please feel free to submit and we will do our best to cover it in the short time we've got left. We've gotten a couple questions, so I'm just going to dive right in. The first one we have, what is the difference between Centurion connectivity activation and a connectivity management platform?
Okay, thanks for your question. I believe this is quite confusing as those terms are quite similar, right? The connectivity activation and also the connectivity management platform. But let's think about the structure behind the technology. So the Centurion connectivity activation is the solution based on the GSMA SGP.22, the consumer model eSIM, which enable you to do the remote SIM provisioning. So you can download a new SIM profile from the SMTP plus server when it's needed. And then while the connectivity management platform is the platform usually, let's say, offered by your operator partner, which you can monitor your data usage, activate or deactivate your SIM card, etc. So it's different.
Great, thank you. Next question we have, how many MNOs are on board with your solution?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we'll need to onboard each one of the mobile network operator into our solution. As I mentioned, our solution is based on the GSMA SGP.22, and that is widely used for today, like the older electronic devices already, right? Cell phone, smartphone, or smart tablet, and so on. So most of the mobile network operators have already deployed this SMTP plus server, and they might need some time to also support the IoT industry, but I believe that will come soon.
Great, thank you. Next question we received, how can we test the Centurion eSIM?
Yeah, thanks for the asking. So in order to test Centurion eSIM, you'll need to apply an account in order to access to Centurion IoT Suite platform. And then also you'll need to get our dev kit and also module and together with the eSIM capable, the eUICC capable SIM card, right? Once those are ready, you are good to go. And just like that, please feel free to contact maybe your Telit Cinterion sales contact, and then they will guide you through some of the details.
Great, thanks. And to follow up too, you could also use this QR code here you see on your screen and follow the prompts for contact us, and we'll be sure to get you in contact with the right people. Maybe one more question for today. Can I switch from consumer model eSIM solution to the IM-to-IM model eSIM solution without changing hardware and software?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. People always get confused by the eSIM terms and don't really pay attention to those different approaches behind, right? But as you know today, M2M model and the consumer model, they have their own architectures and like different servers serving each model. So they are actually not compatible. So it's better to consider which approach to go at the very beginning of your device design, right? So you don't really have much issues in the future to migrate from one solution to another.
Great, thank you. I believe that is all the time that we have got for today. Audience, please be sure to check your inboxes in the coming days for the replay link. Again, you can find this slide deck up in the resources section. Chen-Si, thank you so much for the presentation and your time today. And thank you everybody who joined us. Have a good one.
Thank you.